Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Hi/X/. Can you describe any true paranormal experiences you might have had? Or failing that? Anything creepy, unexplained, or weird? What have you got?
When I was traveling in South America with a friend, I think it was Bolivia or Chile, don't remember, but in one track we were in a forest, and we took a wrong turn, but decided to follow that path anyway. We ended up in a forest clearing, and there was like a grassy small hill surrounded by thick trees from all sides and mountains. There were some old wooden shacks there, and different fabrics attached to poles and strings, like flags, but wasn't flag shape or anything, just random pieces of clothing. Anyway, the place was deafeningly silent. Not a bird, no wind, nothing. Complete silence that actually made my ears ring. I had an insane desire to go investigate further, but my friend began to panic, like really panicking. Sweating, becoming pale, shaking. He kept saying, "We need to get out of there, and he wants to go," and he started begging me to get the fuck out of there, nearly crying, while I just wanted to go further and explore those shacks and what's inside. Eventually, I sorta snapped out of it and realized, shit, my friend is shaking with fear over here and I wanna go further like some asshole. What the fuck is wrong with me? So we both turned around and left. After we went back on track, slowly we started hearing birds again and everything turned back to normal. My friend told me he doesn't know what the fuck happened, but he just knew we had to leave and that he felt like we were about to die if not. Only then I realized my ears were ringing. My heart was beating like crazy and my head hurt. We were both affected by this weird place, and there was definitely something fucked up about it. But it's weird that I was affected by the desire to go deeper and investigate while my friend panicked to get out. Both of us were strongly influenced, just differently. To this day, I can still see this place in my memory. There was something powerful about it. I don't know if my friend denied me of finding out something really cool or saved me from some horrible fate. Shit was weird.
I had one that was a bit weird and didn't seem to get partially explained until about 10 years later. Friend gets a new girlfriend, and we often sit in her house. This is back in the PC is the family computer days. Me and my friend are both DJs, 19, and her dad is too, so we all get on well. Albeit we play a completely different type of music to him, and DJ at a very different club to him. One night the three of us sit in hers while her dad is at the club. Listening to one of my friend's sets on the PC. Gets this really odd distortion over the top, like listening to two radio stations at once. His set gets drowned out by her dad's voice, introducing whatever tune he is about to play because it is his daughter's favorite, and dedicates it to her. This is weird in itself, because we have been to his events before, and he never ever goes on the mic. The tune starts playing, but only for a few seconds, and then it gets drowned out by my friend's set again. We put it down to somehow both sets played at once when no one was touching the PC. My friend's girlfriend says it does not make sense because his sets are recorded at the club, but it is always on cassette, boomers you see, and he never puts them on the PC because he would not know how to. We are doubtful and check the PC, but none of his sets are on there, so it is a bit tougher to explain. Mostly forget about it. It was just an odd happening. About 7 or 8 years later, her dad died unexpectedly. She keeps all his old cassettes and plays them from time to time because she still likes the music. One day I am at their place and she put one of the cassettes on. Her dad's voice comes on and introduces a tune for his daughter and dedicates it to her because it is her favorite. literally exactly what we had heard on the PC years before. The three of us get spooked. At least we are part way to solving the mystery now. Except we are not, because the date is written on the cassette, and it was the last event he did 2 weeks before he died.
WTF. I had a similar experience, but I got no explanation for it. Was going one morning to high school, listening to music in the headphones as usual, wired to a small MP3 music player. Notice things around me in the corner of my eye. See cars, people, etc. See one car speeding in the same direction as me. About to cross the street, cars parked around, so the street was hidden to me, but I was also hidden to any cars on the street. My legs get stuck before stepping into the middle of the street. The car I had noticed speeding up flew by, almost running me over. Perhaps I subconsciously stopped just in case, but I was surprised to see it take a turn to the left. Because its speed was too great for a safe turn, I had expected it to race in a straight line. Anyway, saved by paralysis at the last moment, I see the driver racing by, laughing weirdly. Odd. Continue my way. A few steps later, I keep thinking about the devilish smile on that driver's face as if he enjoyed it. Music fades out suddenly mid-song. A growl fades in and lasts for a few seconds, similar to black metal growls. But I never listened to that kind of music. Sounded laughing but also angry. I instinctively turn around, because it must be someone close to me or walking by mocking me with such sounds, but I was alone. Growl fades out. 1 second of silence before music fades back in like it never got interrupted. I kept rewinding the song back and forth, but it never happened again. I thought it was a glitch with the player, but I never heard it again with other music. Don't know what it was.
A few months ago, I was a little sick, and I've been having cramps and could not sleep well. It is like 2 a.m., and I am trying to sleep, but keep waking up because I keep hearing this faraway noise. Ding, ding, ding noise. Can't tell if it is my imagination or not because I'm half asleep. The ding noise is almost random. No fan on, so I can hear a pin drop, so this ding noise is annoying. I put my head up to figure out where it is coming from. Ding. Yep, it is real, not my imagination. I have several small kids, so it is probably just one of their dumb toys left on. But for some reason I was thinking it is some sort of weird paranormal moment, but it did not seem logical. So I rationalized it is just a malfunctioning toy. An intrusive thought that something freaky was going on, but rationalized that it is just one of the kids' toys, malfunctioning. So I get out of bed and stand as still as possible, waiting to hear this ding sound again so I can pinpoint where in the house or room it is at. Hear it again, and it is definitely from the game room, but do not know where. Wait in silence, but it feels creepy, but do not know why. Then I hear it again, and it is in some box buried under toys and kid stuff. Find out what is making it. It is this dumb Cocomelon keyboard. Malfunctioning piece of shit. I tried to turn it off. It has no off button, and to take the batteries out it needs a screwdriver. I am like, fuck. I don't feel like looking for a screwdriver right now. I am just gonna go downstairs and leave it in the laundry room so I can't hear it, and go back to sleep. Decided I need to take some NyQuil anyways so I can go back to sleep. Walking downstairs and this thing is noisy and loud. I remember that one of the kids broke it some time ago. Smashed it or spilt something on it a long time ago. Throw it in the laundry room under some dirty clothes so it shuts up. Take my liquid cold medicine and go back to sleep. Fast forward to the evening a few days later. I'm eating my dinner and the kids are telling my wife about how that Cocomelon keyboard is possessed, and it's super creepy. They said the other night they were trying to sleep and it randomly started going off by itself in their bedroom in the middle of the night. They said it was super creepy and they couldn't sleep. One of the kids said she started crying because she was so scared of it for unknown reasons. Then her sibling got the courage to get it and take it to the game room and put it in a box and bury it under stuff so it wasn't in their room to make noise. My wife is laughing and she doesn't believe them. I am like, no, I heard it too. I said I want to just throw it away. It's broken anyways. Get a new one that isn't broken. She said, no way you guys heard it, because it's impossible. She took out the batteries a long time ago, about a year ago. I told her no way, we all heard that thing going off. Someone put batteries in it. So I take it and go find my screwdriver to look inside. Open it up. Da fuck. No batteries. LOL and take a picture with my phone. Yeah, I'm throwing it away, LOL. Wife didn't want to throw it away because it's the baby's toy and she's being sentimental. I said, who here wants to throw this thing away? All the kids unanimously raise their hand, LOL. Wife laughs and says, okay, kids say the thing is possessed and they are scared of it. I go, yup, in the trash it goes. Fuck that thing. Cocomelon is already demonic. Probably why it got possessed by something. Only other explanation I can think of is that the thing has another internal battery or capacitor or something making it still run. But I don't see how it would have that much juice to be running all night like that and so loud. My daughter said it was dinging in Morse code in their room. She had been studying Morse code in school. That's why she got scared. The message, SOS.
Dad has to leave for work early, so he drops me off at school earlier than usual. Arrive at school and my friend is sitting outside waiting for the doors to open. He always comes to school early. We are sitting there in the cold and dark. It is very quiet. The class bully arrives. He is the type who will act super tough and bully you when there is girls in an audience, but is pretty chill when he is alone. We are just talking about GTA, teachers, etc. We notice a tallish, skinny man walking across the PE field towards us, walking like a man on a mission. We think it is one of the teachers coming into work, and he will open the door, so we stand up. He abruptly stops about 3 feet away from us. We do not recognize him. Pale, gray, thinning hair, skinny and gangly. About 6'2", and I would say in his 50s, wearing a denim jacket with his hands in his pockets. He just stands and stares at us for about 10 seconds. I noticed that he was holding his breath because it was cold enough to see your breath, and I could not see his. We are a little freaked out. He just completely vanishes. When I say completely vanishes, I mean that literally. It was like he was deleted out of existence right in front of us. We told the teachers later on that day, but of course, they thought we were a bunch of kids pulling a prank. The bully guy I mentioned had a panic attack and was sent home crying. We begged them to check the CCTV and they never did. Or if they did check it, they never got back to us about it.
Be me roughly 12 years old. Wake up in the middle of the night. My bedroom door is open. I never go to sleep with my door open. There is a girl standing in the doorway. She looks maybe 6 years old. Faint blue glow to her. Long, straight hair. Frilly dress. I can tell it is white despite her glow. I glance at my clock on my nightstand. By that time, I knew to use clocks as dream checks. I look back. She is gone. She was so vivid I actually get out of bed to check the hallways, kitchen, etc. Obviously no sign of her. She didn't scare me. She seemed sad. Maybe if it hadn't happened so soon after waking up, the spookiness of the situation would have hit me harder. But I just went back to bed. Same house, same room. Be approximately 1 year after the ghost girl sighting. Wake up in the middle of the night again. Rub my eyes, let them focus. There is a face on the wall opposite to me. That wall is shared with my parents' room next to mine. Relevant. It looks like a grizzled old man with a beard. Same bluish glow as the girl. His face slowly rotates until it is upside down. His face sinks into the wall and disappears. Now that one did spook me proper, enough so that I asked my parents the next day if they've ever seen anything odd in our house. It's worth mentioning that although we were the first to live in the house since being built, the part of Texas we live in likely did have some unsavory stuff happen in and near our proximity. I asked my parents about it. They also saw something the night I saw the bearded man. Not sure if it was the exact same time or just the same night. My mom wakes up. My dad too. Since he sleeps very lightly and could hear a spider fart, he felt my mom tossing and sitting up. They awake to a man standing at the foot of their bed. A man with a beard and a hat. My dad waves at him like a dumbass. Beardy fades away. They didn't tell me until I asked because they didn't want to freak me out. Paranormal stuff scared the piss out of me since elementary school. More so UFOs and cryptids, but they felt it was best to not bring it up until I said something. They think they saw the ghost of a Confederate soldier, but who knows? Years later, this one involves my dad. My dad is working for a tech company based in Dallas. He has to go to Dallas all the time. We live hours away. He is tired of the constant commuting. Tells work to get him a corporate apartment so he can at least stay for days at a time and not be stuck in a hotel. The company agrees because my dad is a badass at his job. Second month in his fancy corporate apartment. Loving it because some Cowboys players live in his building. Sees them in the elevators and gym. Shit is cash. My mom had to pry this out of him, and he was extremely reluctant to tell me because how much it scared him, and he knew it would scare me. He's asleep one night. Wakes up abruptly to his bedroom being filled with light. He's taken away in a white pod. Sensation of being shot through various tubes or corridors. Everything is a blur. Ends up affixed to a table. Will not go into details about what happened after that. Never sleeps there again. Shortly thereafter. One day, I am playing Quake 4. The Strogification cutscene is playing out. My dad comes in soon after it starts just to see what I am up to. I tell him just playing some vidya. He does not respond. I look back and he is pale, wide-eyed, staring at the screen. He walks out without saying anything. Will not talk about it when I asked him. My dad got Strog bros. I should add, I hope that this was just sleep paralysis. However, I've had sleep paralysis once, and although I absolutely did see shit that, I hope, wasn't there, I still was very aware of the fact I was still in my room. Pretty sure Dad got abducted.
I worked at a really old building that had a somewhat dimly lit warehouse with about 19 total employees, with maybe about 7 of them that regularly would enter the warehouse portion. Everyone used to joke about seeing Bubba. When something would go wrong or just dick up somehow, it was, ha ha. Bubba's acting up again, laugh out loud. I eventually saw what I thought was someone off in the back of the big warehouse, like someone had just walked into an aisle maybe 30 feet away. It was a slow day, so I figured I would go talk to whoever it was. Nobody was there. A few weeks or days, I don't know, later, I was in one of the aisles picking some items, and I saw something in my periphery. So I turned my head and saw a very large shadow move straight at me, like it was going to come down the aisle to face me. At the end of the aisle, it turned a quick, hard left and took an inhumanly large stride past my point of vision. All the hair on my body stood straight up, and I felt frozen. It was so creepy. Whatever it was spooked the shit out of me. I told one of the older employees about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, you met Bubba." The building was underneath some high-voltage lines, so I was seeing either actual shadows playing tricks, shadow demons from another realm, or my brain was being cooked by the power lines. I didn't see it again, and left a few weeks later. It was so wild. It didn't look like an actual shadow. It is hard to describe, really. It was like smoke or black static, just slightly darker than everything else around it.
Be me, 12 or 13. Live in a small town on the edge of endless wild woods. Always walked a long road to get to my best friend's place when we would hang out. Running around Vidya, throwing a football around, blasting music, the usual. Most of these days would end with me leaving as late as possible when it is dark out. The road is, of course, completely unlit. On the route back, to the left of me, there is a tall fence. Houses are on the other side of it. On the right, other than my friend's place at the end of the road, is endless woods. I always get a very bad feeling from those woods. Often would bring a shitty knife or some other weapon with me and walk nearly with my back to the fence glaring at the woods. It really just raised the hairs on the back of my neck. I am very in tune with this because my sense of something is watching you has proven very accurate over the course of my life, even if it turns out to be a bird or something. But typically nothing ever happens on this walk, and I just get spooked and walk home fine. Tonight was different. Get to the end of the road where it intersects with my road. This was usually such a relief because it is partially lit with street lamps, is the decently busy main road and opens up to a row of houses. Let my guard down, turn left and start walking home. Look over my shoulder one more time just in case. Freeze. Something pokes out of the bushes, starts crossing the road. Oh shit, was a dog following me, I think. No. It is about 50 feet away and not well lit by the street lights, but I can tell it is pale, bone-white, hairless, or extremely short-haired. Torso way too long to be a dog. Limbs way too long to be anything I know. Quadruped for sure. Round head with what looks like no ears, seems to have no tail. It is crawling in an extremely fucked way, almost like those videos of octopi squishing themselves forward on land, but if it had bones. It is moving perpendicular to me as if to cross the street, and seems disinterested in me, but I know I should not fuck around. I am 99% sure it had been following me just out of sight that whole walk, and the only reason I see it now is because it ran out of trees. Whip around to fully face it. Walk backwards to not give it a sense of getting the jump on me. Slowly to not give it a predator chase reflex, as if I know what the hell this thing is thinking or capable of. Seems to work at first. But this lanky shambling thing suddenly turns toward me. I round a corner, hear it shuffling in my direction, drop the pretense, shit my do bricks, and cheese it the rest of the way home. Practically pencil dive through my front door, lock it, change my pants, stay up all night unable to sleep. I made sure to leave my friend's place earlier from then on. What the fuck was that?
I have one story that bothers me a lot. My wife's grandpa loses consciousness during one of the summer heat waves, gets hospitalized. Age 92, cancer after 3 heart attacks. Doctors just give him IVs and say there is nothing more to be done for someone in his age and state. I never even spoke to him because he was kind of an arsehole even to his close family. Fast forward 2 or 3 days. Have a dream where I go to the basement to fetch some tools or other items stored there. Suddenly, an ominous evil aura drops on me. Turn around. There is a dark humanoid figure in the hallway. Limb proportions really fucked up. Hands and legs are too long. Looks like a slender man or the creatures from The Quiet Place, made out of tar or thick black smoke. Suddenly, he charges me. I charge him too, screaming. As we collide, I jolt awake in a cold sweat. Realise it was just a dream. Go back to sleep. Fast forward to morning. Tell my wife about my dream. She goes visibly pale. Tells me she had a dream of a dark, Hatman-like figure in the house that night too. Screamed at him and told him to get the fuck out because she's not scared of him. Phone rings. It is my mother-in-law with the information that Grandpa died that night. My face when
Family member pulls the creepy kid card, claims an old man was waving at them. House had a past owner, an old man with older kids who had moved out over the years. House is not at the ground floor, has blinds and no way in without being noticed. Anon's grandma. Good friend passes away. She was the type to make jokes about phone calls from the afterlife. A drawer in the bedroom starts making noises at night. Weird knocks. It is haunted now. One day Grandma is fed up, turns lights on and starts talking to her deceased friend. She will cherish her. It was great to be together, but it was time to stop. The drawer actually stops. Bless her soul and based Grandma. My dad loses his grandma. Again, jokes about phone calls. After the funeral, the phone rings. Old mobile phone like a black brick. No caller ID, only time it ever did that. Noped out and let it ring without answering. Anon. At night, looking up, weird object flying close to the ground. It has this shape less than greater than bright orangish glow, peacefully flying with a wing-like flapping in their midsection. Long stare, that is not a plane. No details, sound, or anything near. Actually pretty cool. Anon, it is 2 a.m. minimum. Just rolling in bed, not okay. The TV goes on, can only see the light reflecting from my bedroom. All blue, no sound. Fuck, just crawl inside bed and go to sleep. Maybe it will go away. It does not. Have a mini heart attack when my mom goes to the bathroom. She turns it off, ready to fight like a guard dog if it touches her. Nothing happens, so back to sleep. Next morning, ask her. Yeah, Anon, I went to the bathroom. What do you mean the TV was on? Another place had a TV turning on too. Just roll with it and watch the news. My face when the only time I am watching TV is because of boomer ghosts.
Go down south with a friend a couple of years ago. Super posh place. Walk through this big park place. It's mostly just trails and fields and trees. Wide open space. Feels like no one is really around, but there is actually quite a lot. It is just because they are not all densely packed in. Walking and talking. What the fuck is he doing? Look over the field and see some man stopped mid-stride. Nothing has caught his eye. He is still looking straight ahead, only he is staying still. Look around to see if anyone else has noticed this. Literally every single person, probably 30 or so, have done the same thing, but they are not all walking. Some are looking up at trees or whatever. Some have dogs. Some are mid-conversation. One is a jogger, etc. Closest one to us is a woman probably 20 yards away with her phone half out of her pocket, not looking at it, not texting, not talking, not doing anything. Maybe it is an art installation, but there is no one around to take pictures or record it. Like that for maybe a minute, then everyone starts moving again at the same time. We hang back until the woman who is nearest, and has her phone out properly by this time, is level with us. Ask her what it was all about. Sorry. Looks at me like I'm autistic and quickly picks up the pace, presumably in case we try to rob her. It honestly felt like all of these people had hive-minded to play a trick on two out-of-towners. Weirdest thing, though.
I have too many to share, so I'll just share a couple. I had moved to student halls in my first year of university, got settled in, etc. I shared my flat with 2 other girls and 3 guys. Had a very unsettling dream where the hat man was near my door, must have been 6'5", if not taller, just staring at me. If I recall correctly, he had glaring, white eyes. I brought it up the next day at the dinner table, and it turns out the 2 other girls dreamt of the same man, but he was in a different place, that is. The bathroom. Forgot about it for a while. We would occasionally hear knocks coming from the cleaning supplies cupboard and see someone run past the kitchen. I did not think much of it, as I've lived in spooky places before. That was until I had maybe 3 or 4 lucid dreams turned into sleep paralysis. In the first dream, I'm laid in bed, and a grudge-like lady creature is crawling towards me. She's wearing a gown with dishevelled, long black hair and fingernails. Before she can get to me, I wake up with my mouth stuck wide open. Second dream. To preface, I decided to sleep with the bathroom light on because I was creeped out. I dreamt that the door opened further, and from behind it peered a little gremlin, no taller than 1 foot, with a menacing smile. Woke up with sleep paralysis again. Not a dream and not necessarily paranormal, but I haven't been able to explain this one. My bed was against the wall. I had a notice board on the wall that I had not touched once with some pins stuck in it. I had just got a new laptop, maybe £1,600, as a gift for beginning my degree. Silly me, I left the lid slightly open as I went to sleep. It was next to my bed on a lower down cabinet. I woke up the next morning, turned on my laptop, and there was a tiny pierce in the screen, leaving the whole display broken. And I found a pin in my bed. Tell my mum what has been happening, and she tells me that she researched the place, and it used to be a mental asylum, back when people with mental illnesses were treated even more poorly than they are currently, back in the 60s. I did not know about this because I had just moved in a week ago, and the search results I found related to renting, etc. Also, on my first night out, I was spiked. Phone stolen, people who I thought I could trust had left me, and I was in a very vulnerable position. I eventually get home safely after a lot of drama and sleep. I barely get the chance to close my eyes and see 3 tall angels next to my bed. Must have been of a similar stature to the Hat Man, saying, "Hi, Elle, how are you? You were going to be okay, Elle." They were all talking in unison, but their dialect felt very otherworldly, as did their presence. I told my mum the next day about my dream and what had happened, and she explained she had a dream that she was walking through a park with a man she had never met in real life who advised her that I was in danger, so she prayed that I would be protected by angels. Bear in mind, she had never done this kind of thing before, nor had I ever had a dream like that. I do have some more dream stories, as well as in real-life paranormal events, if anyone would be interested. Sorry for not green texting. I am an English major, so this feels more natural. Few bits to add. Saw a bunch of orbs when I'd put my flash on at night. Saw a white, misty figure near the reception, one of the original buildings. The floor plan of the student halls remained the same as the asylum. Many people practiced Ouija there.
I once saw a UFO that coincided with a very high strangeness feeling. Be me. Get up at 5 a.m. to get ready for my shitty factory job. Have breakfast and a cup of coffee while I wait for my coworker to pick me up in our carpool. Had a big fight with housemates last night about how dirty our kitchen was. See a big speck of dirt on the kitchen window and think, wow, this place is pretty nasty. Stand up and go to wipe the dirt off the window and realize it is not dirt, but something in the distance. Looks like a dark gray, dull metallic orb. It must be huge and at a considerable distance, maybe 50 to 100 kilometers away at a higher altitude than a helicopter, but lower than an airplane. I can even see a shining glint of morning light on its surface. It is just sitting motionless in the air. I sit down with my coffee and stare at it. I get this distinct gut feeling that the object is also staring at me, like when you feel like someone or thing is watching you in the woods. I watch it intently for 15 minutes when my coworker calls me outside. I look away for a split second to check my phone, and when I look back, it has completely vanished. That night, I tell my friends what I saw. They told me that around the same time, an airline pilot reported a UFO a few hundred kilometers away, and it was all over the news.
Be me. About a year ago, I have a series of dreams. In the first dream, I walked around my town, running errands and such, very mundane. When I get home, I walk into my room and flip the light switch a few times. The switch does not work, and I am filled with a sense of dread. Suddenly, I am lifted off the ground and dangled by my leg upside down. Objects are thrown around and the lights start to rapidly flash. I go lucid and start to recite the Lord's Prayer. I wake up. Strangely, I am very calm despite the circumstances. About a week later, dreaming again, I am in my house and I walk into my bathroom. Lights start flashing and I have that same sense of dread as before. Dangled by my leg again. Recite prayer again. Wake up, again very calm. Another week passes. No dream this time. I woke up very early in the morning, could not be later than 6 a.m. I think I may have been in sleep paralysis. There is a shadow figure at the side of my bed staring at me. I stare back and recite the Lord's Prayer a third time. I fell back asleep and woke up later that morning. I haven't had a similar experience since. I'm convinced I was attacked by a demon through my dreams. How it appeared 3 times. How my prayers drove it away. I know these weren't just regular dreams. I've had many nightmares during my life, and every time I've woken up shaken afterwards. I felt no fear during this event. God was with me.
Dude, I used to have dreams like this all the time. Still do occasionally. Except mine would loop, and I used to get stuck waking up, trying to turn on the light switch, feeling crushing dread and trying to get away from something. Before it happened enough, and I found out that if I just brute force the sequence, wake up, turn on the light switch, and then sprint outside of my room, I'd break the dream loop quicker. Now when I get these dreams, I'm always barely able to walk or unable to stand. So I must have pissed off whatever was giving me these dreams, but it also only happens once rather than repeatedly, so win for me.
Work in an office some years ago. Mentioned to the new temp how cold it is. She nonchalantly tells me it is probably the ghost. Tells me the whole story about how centuries ago there were gallows right where the office is built. Not just any old gallows, but where they would hang witches. It has even been rumored that at night when people have worked late, they have seen the ghost of an old witch wandering the building. Tells me not to say anything, though, because the bosses do not like it being mentioned in case it spooks the other workers. I promise I will not say anything despite me working there 4 years and knowing the story, or part of it. In reality, been working at this office for a few months. Get moved to a corner where the photocopier is, that everyone hates because it is so cold. It is cold because there is a door there with a way too big gap underneath, and a draft comes in through it. A coworker mentions to me that she just got a chill when she uses the photocopier one day. I tell her it is probably the ghost, just making a joke. She presses me for details. I tell her I've heard from people the office is haunted and leave it at that. Gradually, this throwaway comment snowballs into the story the temp told me a few years later. I can't even imagine what it's turned into now. Zach Bagans and his squad probably rolling up on it as we speak.
Be me. 11. Nighttime. I was sitting downstairs in the family room. The kitchen was open and connected with the back door. Suddenly, there came a squeaking sound from my back door, as if something or someone was moving their finger across the glass. I freeze up as soon as I hear it. I look behind me. I could not see anything at the door as much as I was able to. I thought at first it was something like a teenager playing a prank or an animal. I raced upstairs to my parents' room and opened the door and frantically explained to them what was happening. They just laugh. Same pattern I notice in creepypastas where the child explains a supernatural occurrence. They just laugh. Fast forward maybe some weeks later. 2 instances like this where I was home alone, of course alone. They only come when you're alone in creepypastas. I heard squeaking coming from downstairs. When I heard it, I began swearing heavily, just when I thought I was about to hear it from my room window. My parents pulled into the driveway. Another creepypasta thing. The parents pulled into the driveway at the nick of time, and the supernatural presence leaves. The second time, which was the last time I encountered it, was when the back door even opened by itself, and my dad just got home at the time, yet again departing as soon as family or company comes home. I've found myself thinking, what would have happened to me if that thing had gotten its way with me? Will it ever return? /x/files. What do you think?
Be me, 16 years old, hanging out with my grandparents in the middle of nowhere. Nearest neighbor was about a mile away, sleeping upstairs. Grandparents were not able to climb stairs anymore. Can't fall asleep, so I am just listening to music. Hear someone come up the stairs and go into the attic. Think someone broke into the house. Grab a baseball bat and check the attic. No one there. Go downstairs and ask grandparents if they heard it. Grandma says go to sleep, and we will talk tomorrow. The next day, Grandma said she'd been seeing ghosts in the house for a while. Didn't tell anyone because my mom and her siblings were already talking about moving my grandparents into a nursing home, and Grandma was worried they'd think she was going senile. Grandma described seeing figures under sheets when she was making the bed. She also described a man with a brim hat that would stare at her sometimes before bed. Yeah, it's the internet, but this is 100% real and happened to me. Ghosts are a thing.
I used to be a true skeptic. Did not believe in ghosts, the paranormal, poltergeists, or UFOs. My first experience happened at age 18, shortly after my mother died. Be me, living in an apartment building. Friend knocks on my door one morning. Bro, come quick, you have to see this. I follow him to the office where there are 4 or 5 workers crowded around a computer screen. They all look at me and go, "Yep, have a look, it went to your door." I look at the screen. It is camera footage from my hallway the night before. 2 a.m. The sensor light turns on in the hall. A gray, misty humanoid figure appears at the top of the stairs and gently floats down the hallway to my door before stopping. Out of 80 doors in the building, it came to my door and only my door. Looked exactly like PIC-related. After I saw that video, I turned from a skeptic to someone who is on the fence with ghosts. Second incident. Years later, it is 2019. I see a swarm of white orbs in the sky during the day and manage to film them. From that moment on, I turned from a skeptic with aliens to someone who is on the fence. Then years later again. It is 2023. Have just moved houses. Things in the house start moving on their own. Witness a cigarette on a bench spin by itself. Strange noises coming from the apartment constantly. Handprints appearing on mirrors by themselves. Start seeing orbs in the sky at night. I am no longer a skeptic. I am a firm believer in ghosts and UAP now. I forgot the most important one. Happened when I was 5 years old, be me, in bed with my mum watching movies on a shitty computer monitor at night. It is like 3 a.m. We are watching some kid-friendly movies and she falls asleep. I start drifting off to sleep as well. The movie ends. The screen goes black and we start falling asleep. Everything is nice. And then this happened. I shit you not. The computer screen goes blue. Everything in the room is blue. I wake up. Suddenly a gory film appears on the screen. Blood everywhere. People dying. I start crying hysterically. My mum wakes up, frantically unplugs the computer. I repress that memory really badly and still do, but sometimes I remember it as an adult and it creeps me out.
I was 7, and I was terrified of my closet. My bedroom in general, but especially the closet. My cat would sit in front of the closet, open or closed, just staring for long periods. It just felt wrong. One night I was laying in bed and I heard the voice of a little girl whisper in my ear, "Don't go in the closet." I grew up in a house where if I woke anyone for comfort, I would have just gotten screamed at and called stupid. So I forced myself to calm down and go to sleep after playing some Pokemon on my Game Boy. That night, I dreamed I went in the closet. I opened the door, and it was pitch black. The door disappeared behind me. Right as my eyes had gotten used to the darkness, a spotlight, like for a stage play, turned on in front of me. There was a chair and a little girl in a white dress. I couldn't see her face, and she looked dirty or covered in blood. The light started flashing off and on, and she was getting closer. I woke up and couldn't breathe. I felt like something was sitting on my chest. I couldn't talk. After a while, the feeling left, but I was petrified. I took my mattress out to the living room and refused to sleep in my bedroom until we moved. I don't know for sure what happened that night, but I am convinced I was warned and attacked by an angry spirit.
Dating a single mom. We live far apart, and I get to live at her place for about a week. Her house is an old abode which her family has owned for generations. A few nights in, kids are tucked in and we are on her bed kissing and getting frisky. Suddenly we hear the voice of a little kid. Immediately stop. Sounds like it is calling for mom. My girlfriend calls out to it and says her kid's name's waiting for a response. No response. My girlfriend goes and checks on her kids. Both kids are fast asleep. We still hear the voice. This would happen for a couple of nights. Another thing of note, was that every night I would fall fast and hard asleep like clockwork with no dreams. I would also peed myself for the first place in my adult life. It stopped right after her cousin gave us a candle that was supposed to work against ghosts that she burned. My sleeping also became more normal after this. Still was a weird experience.
My mom saw a UFO in the 70s, but there's some weird shit to the story. Also collected many family ghost stories and weird paranormal shit. Like a family member saw a man in the woods, except that he was bright orange and glowing. Another saw a knight in our own woods, but she said later upon learning that angels wear armor, she is sure it was an angel. Parents were hippies, but not druggy LSD fun kind, the work in advertising weekend in Woodstock and wear paisley kind. One day it snows outside their cabin in Woodstock. No one is around, just my parents together, except there are footprints to the cabin, and none going out. No one came that they knew. Dad was from Brooklyn, and was ready to fight any noise in the night. And the cabin I've seen driving by, it's a shack, a bungalow. They said they searched the whole place and no one was there. No one appeared the whole week they were there. I'll Greentext her UFO story since she could make it an hour-long spectacle. Be a hippie lady in her mid-20s. Make handmade hippie shirts for a living. Have a girl roommate and plenty of forest cats that come in when it is cold. Also has extreme insomnia from very bad childhood things. No joke, cannot sleep without a handful of barbiturates and whatnot. This is an important detail. One early evening as the sky starts to darken, just painting being hippie. Roommate suddenly decides to go to bed. Weird. Okay, good night. All the cats are asleep. Makes sense. Cats sleep. Painting under huge skylight windows because the small house is a glorified artist studio, really. Suddenly the sky is weird. No clouds. Lights in the sky. A fucking UFO. Try to wake up roommate in a panic. She cannot be woken up. Try to wake the cats. They will not get up either. Everyone is alive but sleeping. Watch as the UFO goes across the sky in a zigzag pattern. It is doing fucking reconnaissance. Because artist finds an acid-free pen and archival paper and writes the whole thing down. Later, when the Close Encounters movie comes out, freak out because it looks exactly like that. Scares me to think about. It wasn't till she told me, again, millionth time. But I was an adult, and listening instead of being a little teen shit. I realized the connection that she cannot sleep easily and couldn't wake everyone up. She just thought it was a weird side note. But it terrified me to think perhaps they can just make most of us sleep through whatever they want to do.
Be me. Praying at church, specifically dedicating myself to God. Hunched, almost far enough forward to touch the chair in front. Purposefully sat away from everyone, because I sing badly and do not want to bother them in worship. Feel a very rough poke on the bottom of my right shoulder. We are talking hard enough to nudge me forward slightly. Bugger off, I am praying. Do not even register and keep praying, resolving to find out what they want after. Finish praying, look around and see no one. Ask everyone around me if they saw anything. Obviously no one was near to me, so they would not see much anyway. But they would have seen or heard someone walking, as I was virtually the only one praying at that current moment. Heard no footsteps or anything like that. The camera saw no one walking to my section, which only had me and the lady I asked. She is short enough for my nipple to poke her in the eye, and old enough to die from a shower slip, so she definitely did not do it. God would not do something so dumb and meaningless. realize I just got poked by a demon. My face when I fought off a demonic attack by complete accident, because I could not be bothered talking to anyone while praying.
In March 2020, I was stepping outside my back door and noticed to my left a gray electron cloud about the size of a big rugby ball moving toward me. It was like a ball of a million midges swarming inside, but with no defined edge. I stepped towards the back of the garden looking back, and this cloud took a right turn into my house. It maneuvered through 2 doorways and disappeared out of my sight somewhere in my front room. I tried analyzing WTF, and after 5 minutes I went back inside. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I put it out of my mind. 18 months later, in late 2021, at the exact moment my great friend died, my deceased mother called out my name aloud while I was sleeping. Her voice was still reverberating off of the walls as I sat bolt upright in my bed. I've been pinched and had my hair rustled. I've since pieced together the fact that my sister gave me an urn with my mother's ashes, which I kept on the sideboard in my front room. This has to be connected. This place of matter in which we live out our lives is the only place in this universe where actions have consequences.
Ghosts are real, but there is no way to understand them scientifically from our current standpoint. I've always been fascinated in the paranormal, but only experienced genuine haunting activity in a bar I worked in, where a guy hung himself in the 1930s after losing all his money gambling. You would experience a lot of sensory anomalies, but never actually witness them, if that makes sense. Like hearing glasses slammed loudly on the bar counter when nobody was there, but the glasses never moved. Or heavy footsteps creaking floorboards, but the boards themselves didn't move. Or the sound of a gate or door violently shaking but seeing no evidence of it. I think they can affect your sensory perception, but not tangibly interact with physical objects, just making you perceive them to do so. I'm sure if you filmed it on camera you wouldn't have seen anything. I think there also has to be a correlation with transient activity, like they gain energy from lots of people moving through the space they are haunting and tied to. I think you're more likely to find paranormal activity in old buildings with lots of visitors passing through than in completely abandoned buildings. In that building, the times you were most certain to experience paranormal activities were after hours, when there had been over 500 people through the building over the course of the day, but rarely, if ever, on quiet weekdays. When I was younger, the bar in my town had a similar haunting, and the staff also only experienced activity after really busy nights. The building was like 150-year-old inn and coach house, where some guests were apparently murdered in the 1800s.
Grandpappy was in the war. As a young kid, not really thinking, and in hindsight, kind of tactlessly, I asked him what was the most messed up thing he ever encountered. He claims it was not during the war, but some years after, at a base in northern Germany. Just stationed there to watch for fires. One group goes out on patrols and is late back. One guy returns looking shell-shocked and all cut up by branches from running straight through the woods, rather than following the winding country road. Something large came out of the woods and assaulted the group. The last thing the guy who ran heard was, "Oh God, that is not human, that is not human." Assume bear attack or something. Nope, that was the strangest part. The other 2 men were dead, but they did not have any cuts or scratches. They were just ripped up like pulled pork. He just acts like it is the damnedest thing, and that was that. Never gave an explanation, never expanded on it. It was just a things happened back then deal to him, but it stuck with me, mostly because you always hear stories about guy was cut to ribbons in horror stories, but him talking about two guys pulled apart like pulled pork just seems somehow more savage and cruel in a way, I guess.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.